Welcome to the September 13th, 2016 school committee meeting. We're happy to have you join us, and we're happy to have Michaela with us for her very first meeting this year. We're happy to have you as our new student representative for the school year.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Welcome aboard. Okay, this meeting is being recorded by East Hampton Media. East Hampton Media channels in 191, 192, and 193 is looking for volunteers. If anyone is interested in helping to tape city government meetings, please contact Kathy Lynch at 413-203-1360. And we'd like to thank Tim Riley for taping tonight's production for us. God bless you. Superintendent Fallsby, do you have some announcements for us?
I do. The next regular school committee meetings are September 27th, October 11th, October 25th, November 8th, and December 13th, 2016. East Hampton High School open house is Saturday, September 15th. White Brook Middle School open house is September 21st. Did I say Saturday?
You said Saturday.
I did not mean Saturday. September 15th. White Brook Middle School open house is September 21st. And Center, Pepin, and Maple School open houses are September 22nd. You can check the district and school websites for times, and I also sent out the times in the superintendent update on Monday. There's a half day of school on Monday, October 3rd, due to Teacher Professional Development Day. There's no school on Monday, October 10th, due to Columbus Day. There's a half day of school on Thursday, October 20th, and Friday, October 21st, due to parent-teacher conferences. Finally, East Hampton's first Friday night football game under the lights is this Friday, the 16th, and the game starts at 7 o'clock with a little dedication event starting at about 6:45. So we hope everyone will turn out. We're very excited about this.
Great. Okay, it doesn't look as though we have any gifts this evening, but do we have any correspondence? Yes, we do.
We do. We have a letter from David Wildgass to directed to Deb Luznia, but asking the school committee to review the ruling on the bus policy to see if this person's child might be eligible for busing.
Okay. And what we do know on this topic is that the policy subcommittee will be meeting on September 20th at 5:30 p.m. to discuss the school bus policy and see if there's ways for us to any way possible for us to accommodate more students on the buses. So they'll be taking that matter up on September 20th. And I wanted to let you know that I will respond to this gentleman in writing tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Will that meeting include the presentation of the process? We had asked for that in the past.
Process?
For drawing the lines.
Have Carol Robillard attend?
Yes, that Carol Robillard was going to attend and do a presentation.
I can certainly talk to her about that,
Okay.
yes.
I think that's vital to that meeting. So if that can't happen, then we should postpone the meeting until it can.
I can let you know tomorrow.
Great.
Okay, at this time, it's the public speak portion of our meeting. If anyone here would like to come and speak to the committee, you're welcome to do so. You can come to the podium and state your name and where you're from, and we'd be happy to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Rich, Liz Rich. I'm Alice Wanamaker's one of her moms, and her other mom can't be here tonight because she's traveling. But I wanted to thank the school committee. This has been an awesome civics lesson for Alice and for us as well. This is great that you have allowed her to come here and speak and work on the dress code policy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're grateful to have Alice and students like her in our school system. We're very fortunate, and we're grateful for all that she shared with the committee. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our subcommittee reports. I don't believe the Finance Subcommittee has met, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Policy Review Subcommittee, we just spoke about that, but I'll let Sarah, oh, Sarah's not here. Well, one of our policy subcommittee members fill us in on any updates.
We will be meeting next Tuesday at 5:30 to review the bus policy. And Peter, are you aware of anything else we're reviewing that evening?
No, that's it at this point.
Okay, very good. We look forward to that. The Collaborative for Educational Services.
The next meeting is September 28th, so after that, I'll have an update.
An update. I noticed that they're publishing a newsletter, a monthly newsletter now. I thought that was great. So that'll help keep everybody informed as well. Very nice. Okay, moving on to the superintendent's report.
And should we have a report from our student representative?
Oh, we could do that before we move on.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, Michaela. Normally we have on the agenda an opportunity for you to speak to us and update us on anything that's going on at the high school that we should know about and fill us in. And we don't have that listed here at this point, but we could put you in the category of other. And so do you have anything that you would like to share with us?
No, nothing's really happening right now. We're just starting to plan everything that we normally do at the beginning of the year. We're starting to plan the dances is really what we're doing right now, so nothing big's happening now.
Clubs are getting up and running.
Yes, they're all starting this week, hopefully, so.
And, yeah.
Michaela, maybe you'd like to just introduce yourself to the audience and just tell a little bit about how you decided to come and join us. I think you're on our student council, correct?
Yes, I am the Vice President of Student Council, and I'm a senior at East Hampton High. And I pretty much came involved with all the groups because I wanted to make a difference within the school and help get the spirit up more. So, yeah.
Nice.
Thank you, Michaela. We are certainly so pleased that you're here with us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Good.
That's great. Now, I'm just curious, will you be the primary person representing the high school here during the year? Or will you be rotating with the president of the student council, or how does that work?
As of right now, I'll be the primary one, so I'm not sure if the president will be coming at all yet, so.
Okay. So good. We'll look forward to working with you on a monthly basis. Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So the first item on my report is to begin sharing my administrator's goals with the school committee. And the goal, we have talked about my goals during the last meeting, and you approved my goals. And then I work with my building administrators to help them with their goals, and we try to keep everything aligned. This evening I have Ms. Belize, Ms. Meredith Belize, our principal from White Brook Middle School. You have her goals in the packet, and she's here to, and she did have she made some revisions even since we put these in the packet, so she's going to share those with you and talk a little bit about her goals and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had one editing session with the superintendent last week, so that's our updated version. Happy new school year, everyone. Michaela, it's great to see you. I cannot believe you're a senior. I feel like you were in 8th grade yesterday. So my first goal that I'll be sharing is the student learning, also the #1 school improvement goal. And the goal is by October 1st, every White Brook Middle School math teacher will have a student learning goal with a key action to improve student achievement in mathematics by increasing the number of students in the advanced level of the state assessment and narrowing the gap in performance between special education and regular education students. This overall goal is to move more students into higher levels on the state assessment, higher achievement levels. So this goal is in line with the superintendent's district improvement goal. You can look at the key actions there, but we have a lot of things that we're putting into place this year. One of our instructional leadership team members, one of our head math teachers, is going to be working with teachers specifically on formative assessment in the math class, and also using the data to inform their instruction, change their instruction, use flexible grouping, things that teachers, have been doing but really need more practice with, and she's a great model for that. She's invited all math teachers to come in and observe her classes at any time during the school year, which is great. We're also going to begin some peer observations, similar to the high school's learning walks. We're going to call them peer observations, and we're hoping that all teachers at White Brook will be able to do some observation of peers this year. We are also looking at our common assessments we have for all 4 content areas, but just kind of looking at those after each quarter to make sure that they're doing what we want them to do. And we are in the process of beginning a assessment system. It's called Star 360. We haven't had a formalized assessment system like they use at the elementary school. They use the benchmark. And we feel like that's something that's really been missing for us. It's going to be the same for all 4 grades and it's going to be for math and ELA. And we're just in the beginning stages. We just introduced the idea about it yesterday at our faculty meeting, and we're having our first training on October 3rd on our half PD day. So it's going to be a way to look at how students are meeting the standards, but more often than just, halfway through the year, at the end of the year, so that we can really, intervene and give those targeted interventions, really when kids need them, so as often as they need them. Does anyone have any questions on that goal?
Yeah, just for the benefit of folks
Sure.
who may not know, what's the difference between formative and summative assessment?
So a formative assessment is an assessment that is done hopefully on almost a daily basis. It gives teacher and students information about the lesson. How, was it understood? Do students have questions about it? Do teachers have questions about, how the lesson went? And a summative assessment really is at the end of a lesson, end of a unit. It's the culmination of all of the lessons leading up into that. So a formative assessment really gives a lot of information, and it can really change what goes on the next day in the classroom, depending on, the level of understanding.
And in the key actions for the student learning goal, school improvement goal, when you talk in number 3 about developing a system of collecting data, what are I'm assuming that formative assessments are one of the places where that's
Right.
gathered from. What are the ways of collecting data on sort of multiple choice test,
Right.
right, wrong answer kinds of things
Right, I think
that
I might have had it.
parents could expect to see as part of
So,
their child's experience?
Right, so teachers, I think I have it in my next one spelled out a little more. Most teachers use a do now, which is a little problem right when kids walk in the door. It might be on the board, it might be something that they pick up on the way in, and it's usually, it could be an introduction to something that's going to go on that day, but more than often it's a question asked from the lesson before, the previous day. They also use exit tickets, which is a similar concept, but that's at the end of the lesson. Some teachers do something as simple as they have like a traffic light on their door going out, and the kids get a sticky note, and then they put it on, either a question they have, or if they're confused on the yellow, or something that they learned that day, or if they're totally lost, they'll put it on the red and say, I need help, or I didn't get this. So that's just another way of gathering data on how things went that day. And then our new system will be another kind of formative assessment, the Star 360, and I think that'll be used with some students on a regular basis, and some students sporadically, depending on who that student is.
Thank you. I just as a comment, and I'll emphasize this again at the end, I think people should understand that this is a lot more work. And in the context of the classroom, the more that you engage in gathering this data and somehow communicating the information back to your students,
Yes.
in addition to everything else that you're already doing, it does facilitate greater learning, but it requires an extraordinary
A lot of work.
efficiency and a lot of work. And I know it takes time to figure things out, so I imagine that there'll be a lot of sharing of good ideas, but I want to commend you for that, and for the faculty for being willing to experiment with it. I know from my own experience that it's really difficult to integrate, formative. Most of us grew up with summative assessment as
And
our
that was it,
experience.
right.
We did not get a lot of feedback from our teachers except on papers and tests. To be getting regularized feedback, on, as you say, almost on a daily basis, that's not necessarily for grade, is vital. But that, when we talk about sizes of classes and the number of students that a teacher is working with, these are related to the changing demands that folks experience in the classroom, all the while the external pieces are still are still in place.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
think that's,
Yeah, and it sounds like it's creating two-way feedback where not only are, the students are getting an opportunity to give feedback to the teachers on whether they're getting what the lesson is
Right.
supposed to be teaching, as opposed to just that grading for evaluation.
Right.
That sounds
And then when the
exciting.
teachers get together, when there's teachers, teaching at the same grade level, same content area, it's great for them to be able to see, how their instruction's going too, just to look at that data.
Yeah.
So school improvement goal number 2 is increase the student achievement in all classes by using formative assessment to inform instruction. So the last goal is really focused on math, so we have some math-specific professional development and attention we're giving math. This is more of a general look, but as Peter just said, it's a big undertaking to be focusing on formative assessment practices, so this one is to include everyone. And again, we're hoping that our new assessment system is going to be a big part of this. All of our teachers, our faculty meeting time is now in the form of a professional learning community, or a PLC, by content area. The teachers on a weekly basis meet with their teams, because we work in teams at the middle school, but twice a month they meet as a PLC by content area. So this gives all the math teachers, all the ELA teachers, and science a chance to get together and share this information. So that's the formative assessment is going to be the focus of the professional learning communities this year. Any questions? And our third school improvement goal is family and community engagement. Again, a goal that's in line with the superintendent's goal. It's to continue to find effective ways to communicate with families and the community in order to build partnerships with our schools. And that's something that we try to focus on each year, trying to add some ways that we're reaching out to families, and also I think we do a good job. We get very positive feedback from families about our website and our newsletters. But this year, we're really going to try to invite more community members into our school, maybe to even share a skill or a talent with kids, or just to be part of what's going on at White Brook.
I think the newsletter is a fantastic idea, so that no matter what you're interested in, it hits everybody.
It hits everybody, right? Yes. Our first one went out yesterday, so.
Great. Have you had any feedback yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very positive. Some people still are not, or either aren't comfortable, or it's just the website's just not their thing. They like to have that piece of paper in their hands. So we're trying to reach everybody.
The newspaper.
So I have a question about the January 2nd end-of-year
Mhm.
parent survey.
Uh-huh.
I guess for both you and Nancy, is that the same thing that is going to be happening district-wide mid-year, or is that something different?
We haven't actually talked about
Right.
that. I think Ms. Belize is trying to get more parent feedback, and as we have talked at school committee, we don't want to
Over-survey.
survey. Have our families had survey fatigue, but Ms. Belize and I will be talking about this and trying to determine the best way to do that. That gives her the information she needs, and you as school committee members the information that you've requested.
But we definitely want to make sure we don't over-survey
I agree.
parents, because we do talk a lot about surveys.
let's not underestimate the ability of the parents to provide feedback. Their child is providing feedback on almost a daily
Yes,
basis in class
exactly,
about what
yeah.
they're learning.
Right.
I don't think that we can run the risk of asking the parents too much if their 8, 12, 14-year-old student can provide feedback to 4 or 5 teachers in the course of the day. I think it's nice to be asked. Parents can always opt out of the
Right,
survey.
exactly.
But I wouldn't panic about their ability to manage it. They can do it.
Yeah, I think it's mostly timing and the fact that we want our surveys to be different. Our survey that we do for the school committee has a segment where parents at White Brook answer questions about White Brook, so we wouldn't want to duplicate that and send another separate survey out that's really saying the same thing. That's what. So
Right.
that would be the
Coordinate.
conversation we'll be having.
And it's possible that one survey could meet
Yes,
Ms. Belize's needs,
absolutely.
potentially. So,
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere, though.
Yeah. You get to stay for a few more minutes. And I will be having the other principals come and give their goals, present their goals to you. I think all of the other two will come, well, actually the three, but the two elementary will come together, and the high school next meeting.
Great.
So you have them all. Okay, the next is the White Brook Middle School handbook, student handbook. And as you know, we had a wonderful presentation by our student Alice Wanamaker at our last meeting, and the school committee had some good conversation about the language in the student handbook. It's highlighted here in the document that you have in your packet. And so we're presenting it tonight. I hope it is.
It is.
Yeah, here it is. And I'm presenting it tonight for your consideration to approve this language that you discussed at your last meeting.
I think one of our concerns was the enforcement of regulations, and it sounds like what's here sounds great to me. It's clear. Any questions or comments or discussion?
And the other thing that we wanted to have added was the that's on here, clothing and accessories with promiscuous language printed or written on it, as well as material that advertises a substance that is illegal for use by students of middle school age or contains obscenities.
Right,
So that
which was in the dress code policy in past years, so
Yeah.
it makes sense. Any other comments or
It was in the high
discussion?
school one, right?
It was in the high
It
school
was in
one.
the
I
high
think it
school
was
one.
in-
And it also had been in the
Right.
White Brook one previous to the revisions that were suggested.
Comments, questions, suggestions? Are we ready to vote? Did everyone have an opportunity
Motion
to
to-
review the whole handbook?
Oh.
We're all set?
I was going to make a motion to adopt the White Brook Middle School Handbook as amended with the update that we have in this evening's packet.
Second?
There's been a motion to approve the White Brook Middle School 2016-2017 handbook as presented to us this evening. It's been seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Oh, I seconded. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On to the high school book. No, not right now. Sorry. Just encouragement.
Okay, the next item on my the report part of my of the agenda here is to give you an update on the our public schools wellness plan. So we have a wellness committee. We're required by the state to have a wellness committee, and it should be composed of members from our schools, a school committee member, parent, and we'd like to, our health services people. So on the last page, I've included all the names of the original wellness committee members. So we have our school principals. Dan Carey was our initial school committee representative, and then when Dan left the school committee, Casey Corsello was voted in as the wellness committee member. Also, we're supposed to have student involvement, so we had Chloe Crabb from the high school as part of our wellness committee, Jackie Duda, our city health agent, Ruth Ever from the East Hampton Healthy Youth Coalition, myself, Christina Harrison, our district nurse, Lois Levin, who is a parent of a student who formerly went to our schools, and she's also a community member and also works in health services as a dietitian. I believe that's the term for her position. And then, again, another principal, Allison Rebello. So we, 3 years ago, along with help from the collaborative, Sarah Bankert, who was working on health issues, came and they had a grant, and she came and helped us develop this plan. And so we had the goals that you see on the plan. The first one is to increase the number of students walking or biking to school. The plan was developed based on data that was collected by the schools as well, and by Sarah. The second one was to, well, actually, I'll go through what we did, and then I'll go to the second one. So the first one is increase the number of students walking or biking to school. In year 2, which was the past year, one of our actions was to establish a Girls on the Run club for elementary girls, and we were able to do that last year. We established a club that all elementary school girls could participate in until I guess they reached their quota. And there are plans for this year to have this in place again, and I just want to say right now that the Girls on the Run club is looking for volunteers to help with these after-school sessions for the club. They need a few more volunteers. So if anybody's interested in helping Girls on the Run, please contact any of our elementary school principals, Allison Ribello or Judy Averill, and they can get you in touch with Molly Hoyt, who runs the program for us. The next action was to apply for Safe Routes to School grant, and we had to be involved with the Safe Routes to School program for a full year, all of our schools, before we could apply for a grant. And so last year, at the end of the year, all of our schools had met that criteria. And so we'll be able to apply for this grant, and it would be to fund projects that we would do in cooperation with the Safe Routes to School organization. And I don't know what those would be yet. We'd apply for the grant, and we haven't started doing that at this point. But we were going to have a meeting with Jana Leonard, who is the coordinator for the Western Massachusetts project. We had planned to have it in the spring, but she fell ill and wasn't able to attend our meeting, so we're going to do that in the fall. We had wanted to hold a trial walking school bus program. We decided that trying to do a major program first was a little too much for us, so we determined that we would do a pilot program, or our school administrators did, and we set it up in connection with the May Bike Safety and Helmet Giveaway event. I think you may remember me talking about that last spring, where a law firm out in Boston, who had a connection to Stephen Linsky, who's part of the Healthy Coalition, donated all of these wonderful helmets for our students. So we had a helmet giveaway, and parents and students biked to school and then biked back again, or biked to the event rather than biked back again. And so we did do the bike safety walk, ride your bike to school event. That's another initiative for Goal 1. Goal 2 was to increase the amount of physical activity at Whitebrook Middle School and high school, specifically outside of the physical education program, such as a running or walking club. So we have a number of opportunities for our students to participate in physical activity in our physical education programs, and also in athletics, particularly at the high school. But we wondered if we were giving enough opportunities to all students, because there may be students who who didn't like the physical education classes as much, would like to explore some other opportunities, although at our high school we have a number of options, as Michaela might be able to mention to us. We have the fitness room, and we have a yoga studio, and so we have a climbing wall, so we have lots of options. But we wanted to be able to provide something that everybody would, or see if we could find something that everyone would enjoy. So we kind of listed here the different things that have been put in place last year. So there was a walking jogging club for 25 to 30 students. There was a new volleyball clinic for grades 7 and 8. About 15 students took place in that. A new girls lacrosse club at the high school. About 12 to 14 young women took place in that. And Patty Doherty, our athletic director, has been very involved in our wellness committee, and I think I left her name off. And she's actually the one who started these clubs. Snap Fitness at the high school, they came into the high school and provided some classes. And we also have plans to use the fitness studio for classes for the community. That's an idea that our high school principal had. have an outdoor club at the high school and a high school middle school ski club, which has been very popular, and a baton at White Brook. We also wanted to collect data on how many high school students do not participate in sports or clubs that focus on physical activity. We talked about doing surveys. They didn't happen last year, so we're moving that into year 3. We'll be doing that this year. We wanted to explore collaboration with elementary schools and older students walking with younger students before or after school. This was an idea that a student member of the committee had 2 years ago. And we've explored this a number of times, but we found that it's just too complicated to put into place because the starting and ending times of our schools are different. So instead of doing that, we're trying to do these pilot programs on a smaller scale. The third initiative was to engage parents in the importance of students getting enough physical activity. So Lois Levin, again, who was able to provide us tremendous amount of links to information for parents, as well as Andrew Stratton, our food service director, provided a number of links. Principal Brook talked about having Eileen Clavalou and her class do public service announcements. So we had a whole lot of ideas last year. We collected a lot of information. This year, year 3, we will be implementing these selected messages and collecting information from parents on whether they're getting the messages and how effective they are. Our fourth initiative was to strengthen the school garden programs at Maple Center, Puffin, and White Brook. They've been tremendously popular. We've talked about them last year, and so we'll continue with that. We had planned to try to do a community harvest. That seemed a bit ambitious for last year, so what we did is we combined some of our garden produce with at a table during the open houses in the fall last year. So that was wonderful. We're going to try to expand that into a community event for this year. That was our goal for year 3. And to continue to work with our food service director, we're very fortunate that Andrew Stratton is very excited about participating in our wellness committee and all of these initiatives. He's been working with Hope Gardenier of School Sprouts and the Garden Project, and also Naomi Push of the Farmers Market. We started conversations with her last spring in terms of trying to connect with our gardens and our school programs. So we're excited about continuing that this year. And the last is to decrease the amount of unhealthy food that is used for promotions, incentives, and fundraisers. We did complete a number of our initiatives here about analyzing successes and challenges, reviewing our current policy, making sure that it was available to our parents, and that our principals were talking with their staff and with their families about putting an emphasis on fundraisers that don't include unhealthy foods. So we have been pretty successful with that. There have been fundraisers with T-shirts and fundraisers with art projects where students do some artwork and then they're made into mugs and keychains. And so I think our principals have been very innovative about shifting that emphasis away from the unhealthy fundraising components, candy in particular.
We've made a lot of progress.
You see that?
Well, I mean, I remember the conversations that we had on the school committee when I first came on board, and and we had some awkward situations with our prior food service situation. You may remember the famous
Yes.
baked potato chip presentation.
Yeah.
They were not baked potato chips that were being shown to us, but a lot of people, I think, cared about this and have benefited from the progress that's being made here. So it's responsive to a long-term interest. And I would commend LaDonna Crow as somebody who took a leadership role in pushing this as well when she was on the school committee, and I'm sure she would be and will be delighted to see this update.
Absolutely, and I am just so pleased about the people who have volunteered to come and work on our committee. And this is an after-school time, and people are really dedicated to this. So I think we've made, I agree with you, Peter. I think we've made some very good changes. Any questions on any of that?
Thank you.
And then lastly, the resolution against lifting the cap on the Commonwealth charter schools. This was presented to you at the last meeting. Deb, I'm gonna let you take over on this because you and I talked about this today.
Okay, well, at one of our previous meetings, we all discussed this resolution, we read it aloud. I think we all felt supportive of this, but we wanted to postpone a vote till a future meeting, maybe I think till everyone was able to see it, read it, digest it. So, I guess we'll start off by saying, are there any other comments or discussion? Is there any discussion that we want to have about this at this time? And
I'd like to make two quick comments. The first, and I don't mean to be snarky about it, but I can think of 100,000 reasons why it's important for people who are concerned about question 2 to speak up, because while no one here on this committee may have the ability to make a financial contribution of that size to the campaign, we're aware of one leading education official in the state who has chosen to spend $100,000 and make a contribution in support of question 2, and I think that's out and known in the press, and apparently it passes the state ethics board's test, and that's fine, playing within the rules, but the rules, and we've seen by the initiative tonight taken by one of our bright and engaged young students that sometimes the rules don't make sense and need to be changed. That rule should be changed. It's kind of crazy that someone can contribute $100,000 into a campaign like this to influence the outcome. And the second note that the more I've been thinking about this is that so often ideas come out of Beacon Hill that are shaped by folks on Beacon Hill who can't see much past Route 95. This concept may work well in certain parts of the state, but it is not my sense. I have not, in all of my conversations with people in this community, heard a great hue and cry and demand for more schools of this kind. There certainly are satisfied parents who are enjoying the charter schools that do exist, but it seems to me that this may be an example of the one-size-fits-all nature of policy, even in a small state like the Commonwealth. Runs into real challenges. So I commend all of my colleagues, all of us, for taking a stand on this, and I know that this will be one small gesture. I hope it will be part of a wider conversation with the public to convince people to vote no on question 2. Thank you.
what I was going to suggest is, do we want to, I think we should read it aloud again.
I think so too.
For everyone to hear. And I was wondering if we wanted to approach it the way we did the last
Sure.
time. Where we
I
each
think that's a good
read a
idea.
piece.
Sure.
Did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I thought you were asking if you wanted us to read it out loud.
So yeah, I thought we should read it out loud before we take a vote. Okay. Do you want to start us off, Mayor Kadger?
Sure. I'll just start with the first whereas. Obviously, this is a resolution against lifting the cap on Commonwealth charter schools. Whereas free public schools available to all students, regardless of income, ability, need, or English language proficiency, are foundational to our democracy. And
Whereas public education was meant to be the melting pot of our diversity, a place where students from varied socioeconomic backgrounds, ethnicities, and lived experiences could come together and help build a stronger nation and a meaningful democracy. And
whereas all our students deserve high-quality public schools that teach the whole child, provide enrichment and addressing social and emotional needs in addition to core academic subjects. And
Whereas local accountability for our public schools is necessary to ensure that schools are responsive to the needs of their communities. And
Whereas Massachusetts charter school finance is biased heavily in favor of charter schools and severely compromises funding to public schools, resulting in a loss of funds that is undermining the ability of districts to provide all students with the educational services to which they are entitled. And
Whereas Commonwealth charter schools are often approved over the objections of a majority of community residents and their elected officials, and are not accountable to local elected officials once they are approved. And
Whereas Commonwealth charter schools often fail to serve the same proportion of special needs students, low-income students, and English language learners as the districts from which they receive students, and often use high suspension rates and other counseling methods to drive out students that they don't want to serve. And
Whereas Commonwealth charter schools claim that they help close the achievement gap, they are instead accentuating that gap by selectively serving students who are generally performing well and are thus creating separate and unequal opportunities for success. And
Whereas our focus as a state should be on creating excellent public schools for all students and striving to achieve the primary mission of public education, educating all young people to be effective citizens in a democracy. And
Whereas lifting the cap on charter schools would greatly worsen the problems listed above and lead to a more costly and divisive two-track school system.
Therefore, be it resolved that the East Hampton School Committee opposes lifting the cap on Commonwealth charter schools. This is the resolution that the East Hampton School Committee is ready to adopt. And at this time, I'll ask if someone would make a motion.
I move that we adopt the resolution just read against, this resolution against lifting the cap on Commonwealth charter schools.
second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Get out and vote, folks.
Okay, warrants and payroll.
I move to approve the school payroll dated September 15th, 2016 in the amount of $474,083.90.
Is there a second?
a second.
There's a motion and it's been seconded to approve the school payroll dated September 15th, 2016 in the amount of $474,083.90. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. I move to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated September 15th, 2016 in the amount of $294,741.61.
Second.
There's a motion, it's been seconded to approve the accounts payable authorization for payment dated September 15th, 2016 in the amount of $294,741.61. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. That's it for warrants and payroll. Okay, so now we have the minutes to approve from our July 26th regular session
Motion to approve.
meeting.
Motion to approve the July 26th, 2016 regular session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
I abstain. I wasn't. Well, can I approve them still?
You can. It's up to you.
Right.
Okay.
All those in favor? Okay, motion passes. And then the July 26, 2016 work session.
Motion to approve the minutes for the July 26th, 2016 work session.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes.
Motion to approve the minutes for the August 31st, 2016 regular session.
Second. All those in favor? Motion passes. And we have an out-of-state field trip request.
I just had one question about it, but someone should make a motion first.
About the field trip?
Just about the assume that the principal, Mr. Burke, is looking at the overall offerings and continuing to coordinate the variety, because we've had this conversation about a number of different things that are going on. There is sort of a master plan of how this all fits within the mission of the high school. Is that correct? Okay. So this comes with his endorsement.
Yes.
Yep, he has signed it here.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Now, this is the trip that's often the trip to Spain or France or the traditional
Exactly.
trip they've done
That
for years.
Ms. Mango
Just a new
does.
location, new
Mhm.
destination.
Mm-hmm.
To Greece. I want to go. Okay. So, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip request to Greece.
Second.
We have a motion to approve field trip for April 13th, 2018 to April 21st, 2018 for East Hampton High School students. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn. It's been seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you very much.